What vile abomination could have stirred us from our gravesites, could have dared to disturb our dormancy enough to return to the land of the living and rain judgment upon the wicked? Why a Blumhouse film, of course. This is what I get for hoping for more dark fantasy in the face of the glut of slasher films. I am, of course, Inkarnate, your horror host, and god damn have I missed you all. But I didn't come back from all this way from the grave alone. Traumadom, talk to the people.
Traumatized here and truly traumatized looking at this plot of this god awful movie, man. I mean, this would truly make anybody shake in their grave.
Now, why would that be?
I couldn't even give you a rating on this. I just couldn't even. I could not give you a rating on this.
No, not even an attempt, not even a smidgen.
I mean, you know what? I've dealt with really good trailers
Hmm.
and really bad movies. I've dealt with
That's
pretty,
a good point.
yeah. They give out too much in the beginning,
Hmm.
and it kind of just ruins it.
Yeah, it kind of just falls off a cliff. I would have to agree. This to me, it just looks hopelessly bland. I mean, it just to me it appears like there's nothing going on. It's so straightforward, and it doesn't have any nuance. It doesn't have anything resembling any level of intrigue as far as I'm concerned.
Aside
Um,
from the virtue signaling,
well, that's yet to be
sugar.
seen. We can't doubt that just because it is Blumhouse. Um, but that's just what I get out of these people. That's just what I'm led to believe this is going to be about, unfortunately. Um, However, that being said, let's get to the premise. Let's get to this shallow, just tripe that we have to look forward to. So, the premise of this film is it's about as two-dimensional as any middle of the road B movie. And that's B movie is what you get out of Blumhouse. Moving on. Um Child has an imaginary friend. Tension escalates. R ensues. That really is it. Like, it's just a bunch of scattered scenes of screaming and yelling and people running and, something creepy on the floor, moving its way skulking its way towards you. I mean, man, there's no depth to this. It's straightforward. And I'm sorry to say, but there's really nothing going on here. Nothing. It's wild to me. It's crazy to me that this movie and these movies from Blumhouse, they just continue to churn out. I've said for a very long time that it's a meat grinder. There's really nothing. If you're watching a Blumhouse movie, you're not watching anything particularly interesting, not in the slightest. Um, and you just get the most paint by numbers concepts from them. I mean, this movie in and of itself, there's no nuance, there's no narrative intrigue, there's no unique perspective or interesting premise. Honestly, there's no selling point. If I'm being honest, I mean, we're heading to the theater to watch this for how aggressively mediocre this looks. And I'm sorry, but that really seems to be their bread and butter. Hmm. For the longest time, Blumhouse to me has just been that how can I put it? That studio that is more about head and shoulders. Me and Tramadon were talking about this before, right? We started live streaming. Head and shoulders, they are about quantity, not quality. They don't know the meaning of that word. And sadly, that this is just one thing I will say. This is just what is on display with this film, and you can tell from the trailer. One thing I can say, without question, is that how can I put it? This film It's almost like every Blumhouse movie. Every
Garbage.
garbage, but it's like it has all of the trademarks, and which I'll get to in momentarily. It has all of the aspects that you have honestly become tropes and stereotypes and cliches when it comes to Blumhouse. Um, they will have the most like paper thin, shallow premise, and that's it. It's not going. You're not going anywhere from square one. Um, let's and here's I started this stream, this preview, talking about how I wish I have long asked, I've begged the horror genre, please focus on any other genre, preferably dark fantasy, over zombies, over slashers, over the run-of-the-mill crap that we get that ultimately
It's regurgitated to the general public.
gets regurgitated, but what all that regurgitation amounts to is just a fad. That's it.
Yes.
It's not great films, it's just a fad. I have long begged for um for dark fantasy to like if you could have a dark fantasy film that hit, I'm talking about nailed it. I'm telling you that in and of itself would hopefully, God willing, stir and stimulate people to stop focusing on masked maniacs and cannibal corpses. No, man. If you were to just focus on dark fantasy, like the types of stuff that we used to get, like that to me, at the very least, I mean, it's dark fantasy. It's got to be, you got to bring some level of imagination to the game. But then that's what I expect, that's what I ask for, and this is what we get. So, in terms of, let's just focus on the concept. It's called imaginary because it's a play off the phrase imaginary friend. This is a premise that has long existed within the horror genre. We've had, for instance, Paranormal Activity 3. We have these two little girls who make an imaginary friend who's like this, malevolent force. You had the movie Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro that had the premise of an imaginary friend. This same concept was used by another little girl in the Amityville Horror remake from 2005, I think. That was something that was utilized in the OG Poltergeist film. There was an indie movie from 2019 called Z, also exploiting the premise of an imaginary friend. And then, of course, there's Child's Play. A little different, but you get the understanding that a child thought that a doll was actually, his pretend friend. So my point is that this concept of the imaginary friend has existed in horror forever and always. Man, I just wish that people would take that concept and really run with it. Like, and unfortunately, by now it has become hackneyed because it's become so overused. But seriously, like, if a child were to have an imaginary friend, and you would kind of need to break out of the stereotypes where bad things happen, parent blames the child insists it's not. You'd have to break out of that and add some nuance. But I genuinely think that that could go somewhere. And again, you'd have to have an imagination and creativity, but I just do believe that it's something like, what if the parent does believe them right from the jump? What if it's like the same quote unquote imaginary friend with the same name, with the same um, personality that the parent themselves had when they were a kid? And it led to like some kind of traumatic experience, and the fact that now hear that their own kid has the same imaginary friend, like something like that, in order to break the mold of, oh, the parent is the traditional cliched non-believer. Oh, there's a rational explanation. No, break that immediately with the parent having had that um experience as a child. But I'm getting away from the preview of this movie. Speaking of this movie, just so that we understand what it is that we're getting into, how's about we discuss the director's filmography? Jeff Wadlow. 2005 Cry Wolf. This was a movie that 9 years on still tried to cling towards the relevancy, the pop culture relevancy that Scream had kicked off with instead of a phone call from a killer, it's an instant messenger. Ramadan, have you ever heard of Cry Wolf?
No.
Not surprised.
No.
So what else did we get from this? Oh, by the way, in terms of anything that's even remotely relevant, this director Jeff Wadlow hasn't done anything since 2018 Truth or Dare, another Blumhouse film, who was basically ripped off from a sci-fi movie. 2018's Truth or Dare was basically the movie Smile before Smile with just as bad of
Yes.
quality. 2020's Fantasy Island remake.
This
What?
guy went from this to Fantasy Island.
Yeah. Yeah. And then 2022's The Curse of Bridge Hollow. What is Curse of Bridge Hollow? A Marlon Wayans horror movie direct to Netflix. So you know we're dealing with top tier directorial talent here. Blumhouse, ladies and germs. We only deal with the rest. So, that brings me right to the studio in question itself, Blumhouse. Dear God, whenever you see the Blumhouse logo, you can bet your bottom dollar that you're about to be served the most lackluster, uninspired dung heap to ever foul the silver screen. They don't make films. No, they make forgeries. You're not getting an experience, a character study. Hell, you're not even getting a story. You're getting a product. Blumhouse movies, as I said before to Trauma Dom, Blumhouse movies are basically a genre unto themselves of the most exhaustive, tedious, 2 hour placebo that you didn't even ask for.
Horrible horror.
Yeah, you're getting packaged monotony out of this leper colony of a studio after they've scammed $13 out of your pocket. But this ain't a rant about Blunderhouse. Not yet. Their time will come. Mark my words. As far as this movie that we're about to endure, so that you don't have to, my guess is that the movie is going to feature either some convoluted backstory of the monster or a paper thin origin for why all the spookies are happening. There will be flat performances aplenty. Nothing resembling characterization. Anyone who is dignified in this movie with a character arc, that will be a shallow and contrived. And I anticipate the briefest moment will present itself, the beacon of hope, shining light, where this film will establish a moment of minuscule potential that will be immediately squandered. Like what? Right when you think, "Hey, this is something that I can get into," or "Hey, maybe they're going somewhere with this," that will immediately get snuffed out. I wouldn't doubt it.
No. No, I don't think we're gonna get there, buddy.
No, not even there. Not like
No.
that's actually me being generous.
I think you're being overly generous.
Okay, Ramadan's a net.
Straight up magnanimous, man.
um.
Anything past dog shit is mighty white of you.
Oof. Tramadom. Shots fired. Um. Did you watch the first or the second trailer for this one?
Both.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to have tortured you with that.
I mean, like I said, I've seen good trailers and bad movies. I've seen bad trailers and good movies. This just looks so boring, it's confusing. I don't
Ouch.
know whether they're trying to leave something out or they just have nothing to offer. But with Blumhouse, it might just be both.
Well, to your point, like trailers nowadays, just giving you all the best stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
I would, I would like to think that they have some trick up their sleeve. Like I said, first off, I don't believe it from Blumhouse.
Right.
I sincerely believe, and this isn't me trolling or trying to exaggerate for the sake of hyperbole. I have never seen a good Blumhouse movie. Um, I couldn't give them. I couldn't entertain the thought of giving them the credit that they would have some trick up their sleeve that they hid in from the trailers. Um, because this premise is so hopelessly surface level that I'm pretty sure they want to make like the teddy bear in the movie like the new icon or whatever.
Yes.
I couldn't muster the energy to come up with a lie that these people have some kind of they're gonna blindside us in the movie with some plot twist. I can't I couldn't give them that credit. What I was saying was they're going to hint at a morsel of creativity. That's the best I'll give them. But a card up their sleeve or a plot
No.
twist, I doubt it. Um, so I bring up the trailer because for me, even in the marketing, they have a kid. They have a kid's commercial as the lead-in to the second trailer, just the way that Megan from last year started. And there's a child psychologist, just like in 2020, the same 2023 doll movie. Between Blumhouse opening this year with that dud Night Swim, and now an evil teddy bear movie, it's plain as day to see that they've learned all the wrong lessons from the success of Megan. Hell, they even made sure to promote this movie from the people, quote unquote, from the people that gave you Megan and Five Nights at Freddy's. A cringe. Another red flag that Blumhouse relies on way too much is the use of gimmicks and old school classic music. In this trailer, they use "Just My Imagination" by the Temptations. And for this latest theatric wreck that they're going to insult the rest of us with, they have like this music box rotating with lights, which I'm pretty sure they ripped off from one of the Conjuring movies, if not Annabelle. Like they saw that Megan was a hit, and God, oh my, 2023 was such an
Just
anomaly.
barely.
2023 was such an anomaly of really, really bad horror movies that made money. Like the last Insidious movie, like Scream 6, like I always call it Annabelle, like Megan, not Annabelle. Um, and I just think that Blumhouse is trying once again in the most low energy, low investment way to create another icon the same way they did with Megan. And it's just not gonna work. It's not. Megan wasn't even a good movie. Oh, we saw the movie, we live streamed it. Dear God, what I hope when that sequel comes out, bombs.
They're making a sequel. They're making another one.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I mean the first one was just barely watchable. For Blumhouse, barely watchable is pretty much
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's our thought process going into this. We will be back after we catch this movie with an aftershock. Thought immediate, quick fire thoughts on what we think of this movie that I highly doubt will exceed even our low expectations. In fact, I'll give one more prediction. I'm pretty sure that it won't even reach the low bar that we have for it. Expect by the time we get out of the theater, we do the live stream of the aftershock. I absolutely, I've just come to expect that from movies, from modern movies, to be honest, and frankly from Blumhouse. Like, I don't even have any level of expectation for this, and I still think it's going to fail to deliver in that aspect.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that has been Incarnate and Traumadom for the imaginary precaution. Stay tuned for when I fire I fire up the microphone in about 2 hours and explain to you or warn all of you why you shouldn't have wasted your money like we did. So I will catch you guys in about 2 hours. Be sure to look out for